Guest relations is all about a good smile. Even an intern can do that. That's what our new boss, Connor Falk, said. The guy who thinks the hotel is his daddy's inheritance, playing professional with a shiny watch and a sharp haircut like some kid king. He said it during the morning briefing while the reception's glass ceiling let the morning sun filter in, casting geometric shadows across the mahogany conference table. Everyone in the meeting room, without even stirring their latte foam, looked away from me all at once. The silence stretched like a taut wire. Even an intern can do that. That little laugh at the end. Not hostile, worse, indifferent. The kind of dismissal that cuts deeper than anger ever could. I didn't smile. Because I know a smile is a protocol. Not everyone can pull it off. How many minutes late can an ambassador arrive for dinner? Who can't sit next to whom at which table? Which floral scent triggers their migraine? Databases don't tell you that. I do, for 12 years. New York, Midtown Manhattan. In our hotel, nestled like a cornerstone between steel giants, with whispers circulating through its historic corridors like ghosts carrying secrets. The building itself breathes with a century of stories, its marble floors worn smooth by countless feet of diplomats, artists, and power brokers. Connor tapped his new modernization plan folder on the table, the sound sharp against the morning quiet. His manicured fingernails drummed a nervous rhythm. "We're closing the notebook era," he said, his voice carrying the confidence of someone who'd never had to sue the crying ambassador's wife at 3 a.m. "We've got CRM, templates, processes. Personalization is in automation. That notebook he's talking about is the one in my desk drawer. Deep burgundy leather, corners worn soft as velvet from years of handling. Too thick to fit in my uniform pocket, it carries the weight of a small book. Inside, invisible maps. Baroness L.'s room never gets white lilies. Allergy that sent her to the hospital in '89. Maestro R doesn't want salt on his omelet from the driver. He wants it himself, a ritual of control from his childhood poverty. The Finnish minister goes cold if he encounters someone with the same last name as his high school English teacher. I don't know why, and I don't need to. Each entry is written in my careful script, some in blue ink, others in black. A few emergency additions in pencil that I later traced over in permanent ink. There's also my silence list, people whose phones we never connect from the room, whose names aren't even whispered in the hotel's marble halls. You recognize their presence just from the look at the door, from how they touch the passport cover with their index and middle fingers, like they're handling something that might explode. From the way their security detail positions itself, invisible but unmistakable. CRM misses that. I don't. "Leila," Connor said, turning to me, with impatience clinging to my name like static electricity. "This weekend is the Foundation's gala night. Everyone be ready. This time, we're putting on a show. Protocols, niceties, rituals, all indulgence, I know, but sponsors want it." His eyes swept the room, landing on me with the weight of expectation and doubt. He said it without blinking, without understanding what those words meant in this building. Gala. In the heart of New York, delegations from 3 countries, 2 heavy hitters from the art world whose names appear on museum walls, plus a royalty member whose name we can't say but whose presence transforms our lobby into something approaching sacred ground. And all those people are the types who notice even a napkin fold off by a millimeter and spin it into a legend that follows them, and us, for years. "Indulgence," he said, the word rolling off his tongue like something distasteful. My job was to drown in those indulgences and build an order no one notices. Like being the tuner in music. When the concert ends, the applause goes to the piano virtuoso, but someone tuned that resonance everyone loves before the stage lit up. I'm that tuning process, the invisible infrastructure that makes magic look effortless. The meeting ended with Connor's crisp dismissal. The team dispersed like startled birds, each carrying their own worry. Lena at reception caught my eye and asked me with her raised eyebrows and slight head tilt, "You okay?" I shrugged, adjusting my uniform jacket. "I'm fine." It wasn't a lie, just a steady climate. My weather doesn't change easily, but inside I felt the first tremor of something shifting, like the moment before an earthquake when animals start acting strange. By noon, new order emails started dropping into my inbox like autumn leaves. Subject: Check-in script V2. Single language for all guests. Connor. Subject: VIP protocol standardization. Operations. Subject: Special requests. Now, only in CRM notes. Field: IT. Single language. The phrase echoed in my mind as I read. You can't whisper in a king's ear with the same sentence structure you use to calm a rock star. One's language has pauses, spaces for dignity to breathe. The other's has rhythm, a beat that matches their internal tempo. A script flows like music. Text isn't enough. You need tempo. You write text in CRM. Who writes the tempo? Who orchestrates the silences between words? In the afternoon, Connor came to the reception desk, his leather shoes clicking against the marble in a staccato rhythm that somehow managed to sound both authoritative and uncertain. The polish smell still lingered. We'd buffed the granite surface that morning until it gleamed like dark water. "What?" he said, gesturing with barely concealed irritation. "Is this?" My notebook was on the desk. Like a master chef's knife, it makes me uneasy even when it's not in my hand. It seemed smaller under his gaze, more vulnerable. "My notes." "No need for that anymore." He pushed it with his fingertips, as if it might contaminate him. "Privacy, risk, error-prone. Plus old-fashioned, like butcher paper." His voice carried the dismissive tone of someone who'd never understood that some tools become extensions of the person wielding them. "Privacy," I said, keeping my voice level, "is why it stays with me so no one else looks." The notebook held secrets that could topple governments, embarrass royalty, destroy careers. In the wrong hands, it was dynamite. He smiled, but it was the smile of someone who thought he'd won an argument when he'd missed the point entirely. I thought he liked the irony. He didn't. "Let's do this," he said, tapping the desk with his index finger like he was making a point. "Today or tomorrow, transfer it. Then stash the notebook." "I've been doing my rounds for 12 years, I said to myself, the words forming in my mind like a prayer. Out loud, just okay. Because I've learned. Stubbornness calls in the prosecutors. Patience calls the scene. Sometimes you have to let people make their own mistakes before they understand the value of what they're destroying. At this point, 90% of listeners guess the rest. The so-called modernization arrives. Memories and intuition get tossed. At the first big test, the gala night, the system shakes like a house of cards in a hurricane. I know it. But for those who still want to hear, on this channel, I tell stories of quiet but certain turnarounds. If you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. Comment which industry you work in. Maybe the next story is yours. Okay, continue. In the late afternoon, I did my rounds, moving through the hotel like a doctor checking on patients. In the team room, fluorescent lights humming overhead, I went over names one by one. Lena's good at fast typing. Her fingers race across the keyboard like a pianist playing a familiar piece. But speed isn't everything. "How do we write this in CRM?" she kept asking, her voice carrying a note of growing desperation. "Baroness L," I said, settling into the chair beside her, "goes down to the pool at 6 a.m. unseen. Towel cream-colored, corner bottom right, first fold, seashell. One of the staff happens by the pool door, makes eye contact, doesn't greet, winks." Lena stopped typing, her hands hovering over the keyboard. "Winking?" "Smiling's too much," I said, watching her process this information. "Winking says we know and respect. Smiling says we saw. She doesn't want to be seen." The distinction was everything. The Baroness wasn't hiding from shame. She was protecting a ritual that belonged only to her. How do you write that in CRM? Expects wink. It looks flat, even rude. Stripped of context, it sounds like a joke or an insult. But on stage, the right wink at the right moment saves lives, preserves dignity, maintains the delicate ecosystem of respect that keeps our world spinning. Then Maestro R. Room window, room 514, vibrates near a piano tuning note, so curtain half-turn open. Night lamp left on the left side. Wakes at 3 a.m., wants apricot jam but not spread. Tiny knife beside it. He spreads it his own rhythm, fingertip amount. My voice carried the precision of someone reciting a sacred text because that's what these details were. Lena typed and typed, her fingers moving faster now, trying to capture something that couldn't really be captured. Then she looked back, confusion clouding her features. Who said that? No one, I said, leaning back in my chair. He sketched the frame. I painted it. Because that's how memory works in a place like this. Guests give you fragments, and you become the artist who completes the picture. You can't explain it. You just become the scanner of habits. From the kitchen smell at different hours, morning laundry steam carrying stories from the previous night, the night bar's glass clink profile that tells you whether people are celebrating or drowning sorrows, how someone sinks their weight into a lobby chair. Forward lean means urgency. Backward sink means they're settling in for a long wait. All files in the mind indexed by intuition. What AI calls patterns, we call habits. And habits are protocol written in a language only humans can read. Inspection tomorrow, Jason from operations said, poking his head in, his usually steady voice carrying a note of anxiety. Gala menu tasting. Citrus in the dessert? I said, not looking up from my notes. He turned, surprised by my immediate focus on what seemed like a random detail. How? Royalty member, I said, finally meeting his eyes. Citrus or bitter almond band, even the scent. Not because of allergy, but because the scent reminded her of a childhood trauma involving her governess. Some memories are landmines buried so deep you only discover them when they explode. Jason nodded slowly, understanding dawning in his expression. Connor suggested orange raspberry tort. That's when I tensed inside, my stomach dropping like an elevator with a cut cable. Because even an innocent orange peel sets up the wrong story in the room. For some, scent is a signature. Wrong signatures like going to the wrong country with the wrong passport. The evening could collapse before it even began. As the evening shift started, Connor passed through the lobby one last time, his presence changing the atmosphere like a storm front moving in. His footsteps echoed on the marble, like a new showman rehearsing on stage, trying to fill shoes that were never meant for him. Without looking at me, talking to the air, the ceiling, the ghosts that lived in the corners. First thing tomorrow morning, I want that notebook, he said. We'll archive it. Archive, I said, tasting the word like something bitter, is the graveyard of silence. He turned, his perfectly groomed eyebrows raised. What? Nothing. I smiled the guest relations smile, the one that reveals nothing and promises less. Tomorrow morning. By midnight, corridors emptied like a theater after the final curtain. I dimmed the concierge desk lamp, watching shadows stretch across the polished surfaces. The lobby flowers, white orchids today, seemed too flashy, their perfume too aggressive for tomorrow's delicate work. Tomorrow, I'd request green heavy arrangement, something with eucalyptus to tone down the musk scent that might compete with the guests' own chosen fragrances. No gloom, just a withdrawal feeling. Like gently handing over a rope I'd held for years, but letting it swing in the air under its own weight for a bit before giving the end away. Sometimes the hand needs to burn to understand the rope's true value. Sometimes destruction is the only teacher that gets through. I opened my locker, the metal door singing on its hinges. My spare uniform jacket hung there, crease unbroken like a military line, pressed to perfection by Maria in housekeeping, who understood that appearance was armor in this business. In the side pocket underneath, I placed my notebook, lifted it from the drawer with the reverence of someone handling a holy relic, flipped its pages one last time, each turn releasing the scent of years. Coffee stains, perfume residue, the slight mustiness that comes from being carried through countless crises. Years. Letters, thank you notes, a tiny ribbon left by a ballerina who'd stayed here during her farewell tour and wanted me to remember her by something more permanent than applause. All the building's memory, condensed into leather and paper. I closed the notebook. Click. The sound was final, like a coffin lid settling into place. Then, very calm, very simple. I turned that key mouth, the notebook's lock, 3 times over. For me, a farewell ritual that I'd never performed before but somehow knew by heart. 3 times. Come, stay, go. All 3 are needed. The metal was warm under my fingers, as if the notebook had its own pulse. Walking home, New York nightlights spilled like water over everything, transforming the harsh daylight city into something softer, more forgiving. I don't drive. I like hearing the city's breath on foot, the way conversations leak from restaurant windows, the rumble of subway trains beneath the sidewalk, the 1,000 small sounds that make up the symphony of a city that never truly sleeps. Grabbed water from the corner bodega where Ahmed behind the counter nodded at me with the familiarity of years but didn't speak. He understood that some nights require silence. Tossed the bottle in my bag. My phone buzzed. Message from Lena. Passed the citrus thing to the kitchen. As you said. Good, I texted back, my fingers moving automatically. Another buzz soon. Jason. Orange torts out. Connor grumbled but agreed. I could picture Connor's face, the way his jaw tightened when his authority was questioned by something as intangible as institutional knowledge. Nice, I texted. Then an email from Connor dropped into my inbox like a stone into still water. Subject, notebook. Leave it in my office by 9 a.m. No, please, no explanation. Just the expectation of compliance. It was that simple. As if the notebook, once in a file cabinet, would make the years inside scentless. As if memory could be archived like tax documents. Home, I kicked off my shoes, feeling my feet expand gratefully on the cool, hardwood floor. Dimmed the kitchen light to something warmer, more human. Put tea water on the stove. When it boiled, I poured it into the teapot so the water's sound bounced off the walls like a meditation bell. Silence was a song on its own. One I'd learned to love during the long years of living alone with other people's secrets. Sat at the table, my reflection ghost-like in the dark window. Didn't take out the notebook. I'd take it in the morning anyway, because I don't sabotage. I just step aside and let the stage feel its own weight. Let incompetence reveal itself naturally, without my interference. Stepped onto the balcony, the city sprawling below like a circuit board. New York wind played with my hair ends, carrying the scent of rain that might or might not come, of food trucks and car exhaust, and the green smell of Central Park carried on air currents from blocks away. 3 days to the gala. 3 days was more than enough to test a hotel's memory loss. Suddenly, that first line came to mind. Even an intern can do that. Maybe they can. The smiling. But who'd do the making smile we'd see at the gala night? I sipped my tea, letting the warmth spread through my chest. My phone buzzed on the table like an impatient insect. I didn't look. Chose not to see. Because some decisions require the clarity that only comes from stepping away from the noise. Because there are some night watchmen. They close the door and wait for the lock's turn sound. Then lean against the wall, wait till their eyes adjust to the dark, until they can see what others miss in the light. I'm that watchman, and in this hotel tomorrow morning, notebook in my bag and at the door, everyone would learn who the real watchman is. When Connor told me transfer the notebook to CRM, then archive, he was actually trying to bury the hotel's oldest ritual, the ritual of remembering. My job wasn't saving to a computer. It was etching into people, underscore, 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 and any score, underscore, any, or underscore, and underscore, 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 and 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 underscore. I remember the day I first walked through this hotel's doors. It was summer 2009, the air thick with heat and possibility. New York's heat rose from the sidewalks in visible waves, and I stepped through the revolving door with hesitation, my resume clutched in my sweaty palm like a lifeline. The lobby was different then, darker wood, heavier fabrics, an atmosphere that whispered rather than announced. Back then, the owner was still Henry Falk, Connor's dad. Stern gaze, spoke little, but weighed everything with one look that seemed to see through flesh and bone to whatever lay beneath. they'd just opened the guest relations position, a role that had never existed before in their family business. My resume was plain, experience slim. 26 years old, fresh from hotel management school with more theory than practice. But sitting across the desk from Henry, his leather chair creaking under his weight, he asked me one question that would define the next 12 years of my life. "Leila, can you remember?" I paused for a moment, feeling the weight of the question, the way it seemed to contain multitudes, then said, "My job is not to forget." He smiled then, like that was the sentence he'd waited years to hear, like I'd passed a test I didn't know I was taking. From that day on, my job became not forgetting. But my memory wasn't like a computer's, neat files in organized folders. My memory had scents, sounds, rhythms. It was organic, alive, growing and changing like a living thing. I passed my first test in the first week. A guest, the conductor of an international symphony orchestra. Everyone at reception knew just his name, Maestro V. Short stature, hushed voice, nervous eyes that darted around rooms like he was searching for hidden threats. His assistant, a tall woman with the bearing of someone used to managing genius, requested flowers for the room. "What flowers?" I asked, pen poised over the order form. Assistant said white roses. Simple enough, or so it seemed. But when I saw the flowers being arranged, something felt off. The roses smelled heavy, cloying, their perfume too insistent. I'd watched a small concert recording of the maestro's interview before, part of my preparation ritual for new guests, and there were white roses behind him in the frame, and he'd winced when the interviewer mentioned them. A micro-expression that lasted maybe half a second, but I'd etched it in my mind. Roses meant mourning to him. They carried the weight of someone lost, some grief too private to share, but too profound to hide completely. I rushed to the florist, my heart racing with the possibility of causing pain instead of comfort. "Please remove these. Replace with chrysanthemums." "Yellow ones," I specified. The color of sunlight, of optimism, of music made visible. I took the risk, and I was right. When the maestro entered the room, he smiled for the first time since arriving, his whole posture changing from defensive to open. At reception, he glanced at me sideways, then tilted his head slightly, a bow of recognition between two people who understood that details matter more than grand gestures. From then on, my name in the team. Leila, who works with intuition. But it wasn't intuition. It was listening with more than your ears, watching with more than your eyes. Underscore, 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 underscore. Years passed like pages in a book. Intuition wasn't enough. You had to be systematic, methodical. That's why I started keeping the notebook. Every client, every special request, every quirky ritual that made them human. But the notebook wasn't an ordinary agenda. For me, it was the hotel's memory made tangible, its soul given form. Open its pages, and it's not just notes. Royalty member Princess M. S. coffee gets 1 drop of milk, counted carefully from a small silver spoon. More is an insult to her homeland's traditions, a sign that we don't understand the difference between luxury and excess. Sut, movie star A goes for a run at 7:15 a.m. sharp but doesn't want to encounter anyone on return. No cleaners in corridors between 8 o'clock and 8:30 a.m. He needs that 15 minutes to transition from private citizen back to public figure, to put on the mask that the world expects. Businessman K doesn't say hello at reception. That's his security code, not rudeness. He wants only eye contact from the other side, a silent acknowledgement that says, I see you, you see me, we understand each other. Words would break the spell of anonymity he pays so dearly to maintain. Every line in the notebook was actually a bridge between person and space, past and present, hidden desire and visible ritual, between who they are when no one's watching and who they need to be when the world is. Connor's even an intern can do that job was exactly that bridge building. But he didn't see the bridge's stones, couldn't feel the careful engineering that went into each invisible support beam, so he didn't grasp its importance. To him, hospitality was a series of transactions. To me, it was an art form. You can write a note in CRM, Princess doesn't want milk, but CRM doesn't tell you why. Doesn't explain that her father died choking on milk when she was 7, that the sight of it brings back the sound of his gasping, the way her mother screamed, and without the why, sometimes you reflexively mess up. Offer cream in her coffee, suggest a milk-based dessert. That's where crises start, not in malice, but in ignorance of the invisible wounds people carry. Underscore, 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 underscore. Over these years, I've averted hundreds of crises quietly, like a guardian angel working the night shift. Let me tell one that still gives me chills. A famous painter stepped into the lobby with a red carpet on the floor, placed there for another guest's arrival. But the red's shade was wrong. Burgundy instead of crimson, not matching his last exhibition's catalog cover, the color that had become his signature, his visual DNA. Would he notice? The events team had wondered. He did. He paused at the entrance, brows furrowed, his artist's eye catching what others would dismiss as close enough. I saw his shoulders tense, watched him take a half-step backward. I went right up and said, my voice carrying the certainty of someone who'd planned for this moment. Our carpet is temporary. The one matching your exhibition's shade was set for morning. But you arrived early, so it hasn't arrived yet. Was it a lie? Maybe. A creative interpretation of reality? Definitely. But the crisis resolved like mist in sunlight. The painter smiled, his whole body relaxing. So it was thought of, he said, though it hadn't been, not consciously. But my job was saving the moment, making him feel seen and understood rather than overlooked. Underscore, 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 underscore. A hotel isn't just beds and breakfast. It's a stage. And guests want to be the stars of their own plays on that stage, the heroes of their own stories. My job is setting the decor invisibly, making sure the lighting flatters them, the props support their performance, the other actors know their cues. It's theater direction on the most intimate scale. That's why, over the years, they called me not just guest relations, but memory too. The human hard drive, the keeper of the institutional soul. Sometimes security would approach with their radios crackling. Sometimes kitchen staff would appear with flour on their aprons. Leila, what wine did that guy want in his room? The question urgent because the guest was already in the elevator. I'd say, not just the wine, but the glass, the temperature, the time of day it should arrive. Leila, where was that table set at last year's gala? Because some guests expect their traditions to be honored without having to ask. I'd say, and they'd rush off with the relief of people who'd avoided a disaster they couldn't quite name. And everyone knew, As long as the notebook was in my hands, the hotel's memory wouldn't vanish. I was the bridge between last year and this year, between what was promised and what was delivered. Now Connor shows up saying, "Transfer it to CRM, then trash it." Because in his world, memory could be reduced to a spreadsheet cell, human complexity flattened into data points. He saw inefficiency where I saw craftsmanship, saw old-fashioned methods where I saw irreplaceable artistry. But the irony, they'd ask me for the CRM password anyway, because systems need operators, and operators need understanding that goes deeper than user manuals. IT sets it up, but I give the system soul. Because soul isn't just words. Soul is connections, the invisible threads that link one moment to the next, one guest's arrival to their departure, one year's success to the next year's expectations. Underscore, 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 underscore. One evening, sitting in the lounge bar corner where I could observe without being observed, bartender Stefan said to me while polishing glasses with the meditative rhythm of someone who'd done it 10,000 times, "Without you, this hotel loses its memory." I laughed, surprising myself with the sound. "Hotels don't have memory, people do." "Exactly," he said, setting down a glass and looking at me directly. "Without you, the building's like Alzheimer's. Beautiful shell, but nothing inside recognizes anything." Those words stuck in my mind like a song you can't shake, replaying at odd moments in the days that followed. Because he was right. The hotel was stone and glass, marble and mahogany. What made it memorable was my notebook, my years of careful observation, my willingness to care about details that couldn't be quantified or automated. Underscore, 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 underscore. Now, Connor wanted to trash that memory, because to him, the past was a burden, the future a PowerPoint presentation with clean lines and measurable outcomes. He saw tradition as inefficiency, personal touch as a liability waiting to happen, but I knew the future is actually remembering the past right. Miss the details that matter, and everything else is just expensive furniture. Misremember, and gala day becomes just decor, and decor topples in the first wind. Underscore, 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 underscore. That night I got home, my feet aching from hours on marble floors. Took the notebook from my bag, set it on the kitchen table like I was preparing for a ritual. Flipped pages one by one, slowly, reverently. My fingertips carried years since, coffee and old paper, a faint trace of the leather oil I used to condition the cover, the ghost of perfumes from guests who'd leaned over to point at specific entries. Coffee stains by some notes, rushed pencil marks in others where I'd had to write quickly while walking, while someone was talking, while a crisis was unfolding in real time. All shadows of the past, all proof that this wasn't just a notebook, it was a historical document. Sipped tea, looked at the notebook with something approaching grief. Said to myself, if this notebook ever closes, the hotel becomes Alzheimer's. And maybe Connor's biggest lesson would be seeing that with his own eyes, feeling the weight of ignorance when it was too late to fix what had been broken. When I arrived for the morning shift, the lobby's scent had changed like a familiar song played in a different key. Normally, mornings smell of light coffee and polished wood, with undertones of fresh flowers and the faint vanilla scent of the cleaning products we used on the leather furniture. But that day, the new cleaning crew's detergent spread a heavy citrus aroma that made my nose wrinkle. Right away, I knew Connor's modernization had begun. Even the air smelled different, harsher, more chemical than organic. My email inbox was full of innovations, each subject line like a small death. Connor Falk. VIP protocols now templated. Personalizations minimal. IT department. Notebook replaced with updated CRM module. Enter notes here. Operations. New dress code. Everyone same tie, same pin. Like we were turning into an army of identical soldiers. But a hotel isn't an army. A hotel is a theater where every performance is different, where the same play gets performed nightly but with different actors, different audiences, different energy. Every actor has their own lines, their own stage entrance, their own way of inhabiting the character of perfect guest experience. Paint them all the same color, and you can't tell decor from performer. The magic dies when everything becomes uniform. Underscore, 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 underscore. Connor came out of his office to the reception front, his tablet glowing in his hands like some sort of technological talisman. He moved with the confidence of someone who'd never been wrong about anything important, never had to apologize to a visiting dignitary for a cultural misunderstanding. Leila, he said, his voice carrying the false friendliness of a boss who's made up his mind. Starting today, enter all VIP notes into the system, okay? Okay. The word felt strange in my mouth, like I was agreeing to my own execution. And the notebook? I'll archive it. Truth wrapped in misleading words. I didn't lie. I would archive it. But archive wasn't what he meant, and we both knew it. Connor nodded, satisfied-like, his attention already shifting to the next item on his digital checklist. Great. Now, nothing depends on personal memories. The system will run itself. He spoke with the fervor of someone who'd discovered religion, who believed technology could solve problems that had never really been problems to begin with. He was the only one who believed the system ran itself. Because we were the ones pressing its keys, interpreting its outputs, filling in the gaps between what it recorded and what actually mattered. Without our fingers, our hearts, our understanding of human nature, nothing runs. Systems are only as smart as the people operating them and only as wise as the knowledge they're fed. Underscore, 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 underscore. By noon, a familiar name arrived in the hotel lobby. Business heavyweight Mr. Weber. For 10 years, same date, same room, same expectations built up like layers of sediment. Lena at the desk opened the CRM screen with the efficiency of someone who'd been trained to trust the system. Note: Mr. Weber likes red wine. Simple, clear, wrong. But the detail was missing, the specificity that made the difference between adequate service and memorable hospitality. Because Weber's favorite isn't red wine, it's specific. Merlot from Napa Valley, room temperature, not cellar temperature, in a thin-stemmed glass that doesn't interfere with the wine's aroma. Served at exactly 6:17 p.m., not before, he's still working, and not after, he'll have moved on to dinner. Lena brought Bordeaux in a standard wine glass, proud of herself for remembering that he liked red wine at all. Weber pursed his lips, set the glass down with the careful control of someone trying not to cause a scene. This is wrong. 2 words that contained volumes of disappointment. Lena turned beet red, her confidence crumbling like a house of cards. Apologized immediately, her voice shaking with the fear that she'd destroyed a relationship we'd spent years building. I stepped in, my voice calm and sure. Mr. Weber, sorry, getting your Napa Merlot right away. I didn't explain, didn't make excuses, just fixed it. Weber looked at me, eyes softening with relief and recognition. You're still here, aren't you, Leila? Of course, I said, meaning it in ways that went beyond simple employment. But that little scene left a mark in everyone's eyes in the lobby. Guests and staff alike witnessing the difference between information and knowledge, between data and understanding. And with Lena's hands shaking as she corrected the order, I knew CRM note wasn't enough, because red wine opens doors to thousands of options. Memory is narrowing the door to the right bottle. It's the difference between hospitality and mere service. Underscore 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 underscore. That evening, Connor called all departments to a meeting in the largest conference room. Opened a PowerPoint on the big screen, the presentation polished to corporate perfection. Colorful charts that meant nothing, optimization headers that promised everything, cost-cutting arrows that pointed toward a future none of us recognized. Folks, he said, clicking through slides with the rhythm of someone who'd given this presentation before, who believed in it with the passion of the converted. We won't leave this hotel behind the times. Old habits, old notebooks, old rituals. They're costly and inefficient. Now everything will be measurable. He gestured at the screen like he was revealing the secrets of the universe. I sat in the back, my usual position for observe.